Buongiorno, benvenuti amici. Welcome, my friends. My name is Vincenzo and welcome to my channel. And the channel is Fountain Pen Therapy. Well, folks, I think that 2025 for the Chinese pen market, I just have this feeling that they're going to come out like gangbusters. Don't ask me why. It's just a suspicion of mine. It's completely unfounded, or it's completely gratuitous, if you will. It's not based on any particular facts. It's just a feeling I have. And you know what? MAJOHN last year was really the winner when it came out to, various offerings. They had, I think, the most offerings from all of the, main Chinese brands. And, they haven't stopped. And I've got another MAJOHN beauty, in my opinion anyway, to review for you. And please don't feel obliged to buy every pen that I review. Obviously, you make your choices. You have preferences. I'm just giving you my fountain pen therapy. That's all. But if you don't want to buy, by all means, don't buy. I don't get any commission on any of this stuff. So, but I've got to say, the moment I picked up this pen, when I received it, I fell in love with it. So stay tuned. Here is the MAJOHN C5. Okay, folks, we're back, and here's the box that it comes in. This is a standard MAJOHN box. There's nothing new, nothing novel, except I was a little bit surprised at its contents. Let me just focus in a little more here. 1 second, just so that you get a closer view of all this. That's the standard box, of course, and nothing spectacular there. One thing I must admit, it came fairly quickly. Within a week from, I believe I ordered this one from 365 Day Stationers. So thank you very much to that vendor. There's of course the instructions showing different filling mechanisms. And one of them, I was afraid that because this has a particular filling mechanism that I've yet to see in a MAJOHN, I was afraid that perhaps the standard instructions that had not been put up to date, but they have. But look what's novel. I got this with the pen, which I believe is the second time this happens. So nice touch. It's kind of a felt, nothing spectacular, but still, it's they've added just another item. The pen comes in this plastic sleeve, of course, and here's the pen. Now let me just put aside the box, and I'd like to share with you the first impression I had of this pen. First impression is that it's a lot bigger than you think when you look at the ads that's on AliExpress. On AliExpress, you get the sense that this is a kind of another small, transparent demonstrator, but this pen has some heft. It's nice and big. Much bigger than you would think. At least that was my original impression. So I immediately fell in love with this pen. Now, a couple of things I want you to notice. First of all, it's got this very small, probably non-functional clip. I think it's just there for decoration, if nothing else. Some people have really criticized MAJOHN on this small clip because it's been used before. I frankly don't use clips. I think they're there for decorative purposes. And I'm not sure it's so unfunctional when all is said and done. But having said that, I like that little nib, that little clip. The second thing is, take a look at these bands. These nice, now the engraving could have been done a little bit better. You know, you have some of the more high-end pens that I think would have done a better job on this. But still, there's some relief to this band. It's got 2 rings, and it's kind of a, you know, you could see it there. It's 3-dimensional. It's not flat. Different designs. I don't know if those designs evoke anything on each of the bands, but again, they're 3D-ish. It's got a kind of a rounded, shape to it with two rings on parallel rings there. You could see the MAJOHN name, so it's not Moon Man, it's MAJOHN twice, I believe. I don't see C5 anywhere. Folks, if you order this pen and see it, let me know. I wish they would put it somewhere so that we could remember the numbers, but MAJOHN is not like Asvine. I know Asvine puts their number everywhere. Some people say too much. But having said that, this is a great looking pen, especially with that very unique filling system that we'll take a look at in a second. I love the transparency of this pen. There's some heft to it. There's some thickness to it. Very, very nice. I like this finial. Take a look at the finial. It's got a certain shape so that when you put it up, it's kind of rounded, but still it's decorative the way they've designed that finial at the top. Same thing goes for the bottom one. It's kind of tapered down, but take a look at that. I mean, that is really nice, folks. I mean, I love this pen. I just immediately fell in love with it. And like I said, much bigger than you think, and I will show you in some of the comparisons why I say that. Now, let's take a look. Now, first thing is that I notice is that the clip does appear to close, right on with the nib. So there's no issues there. Well, let me open it up and see if there is an issue. So let's just see how many turns. That's 1, 1.25, 1.5. It's coming. 2, 2.5, 3. Whoa, some people might not like this. So it's 3.25 to come out. To reveal this nib, that is a gold plated version of a medium Moon Man or MAJOHN nib. It does come with either what they called polished nibs, which I got a feeling are lemon nibs, and the long knife nibs. The pen was more expensive. I've got a few of those nibs, so I just wanted to test the Moon Man MAJOHN nib to see if there's still those nibs that I'm familiar with, which I've never had an issue with. Ordinary plastic feed, nothing spectacular there. There is a little bit of a step down, and the threading is at the end there. Some people would say that may cause potential mess when you ink the pen. It's just a question of spending a few more seconds to properly wipe out the threading there. The pen is extremely comfortable, and that filling mechanism does have some weight to it, but take a look how big this is. It's not a small pen. Again, just stay tuned for my comparison. Now, if you have the habit of holding your pen a little higher up, this 3D-ish and very, it could be very intrusive. But, if you hold the pen where it's supposed to be held, which is in its section, you should not have a problem there. It's only if you hold it up here that you will have an issue for long writing sessions. The cap, very nice. Take a look how thick this is. Of course, you could see the recess there. So we should not have any problems with drying Similar demonstrator pens from MAJOHN or MOOMAN. I've never had issues for drawing nibs, because it's, that chamber is so airtight that should not be a problem. The screwing is very, very nice, and it lays straight, so you're not going to have an issue with lining up of the clip to the nib. For those of you who, like me, get obsessed over those things. Now, when we fill the pen, we will test this filling mechanism, but for the time being, you can see that it is you open up the piston cap, and essentially what we're doing here is that we're pumping. I guess that's the way it works until you fill the pen. But we'll test it. We'll actually do a live, even though I have all my shaky hands here, we will test it and see what that gives. So that is the cap. Now, does it post? Yes, it does. I don't like the idea of scratching this acrylic, but for those of you who are absolutely obsessed with capping, with posting, it is postable. It makes it a very long pen, as you can see, but not, I mean, this is a very light cap. It's very small. But there you have it. It is postable. So they've taken care of that. I'm just going to be very careful. I don't want to scratch my acrylic. One thing is that Shanghai Dude mentioned in his first review of this, a brief review of this pen, that we should not wipe this acrylic either inside or outside with tissue paper, because the tissue paper has a tendency to scratch the acrylic. He prefers that we use, just a towel, a small towel, I guess. So I mentioned that to you. I'm not going to try. I don't want to, in case that is indeed what happens to these transparent barrels. I'm not going to, but I thought I'd mention it to you. I think it's an added piece of information. So I use kind of a soft towel like this one. I have many of them. By the way, these towels, what I do with them is I throw them in a small bucket and with a mixture of Javel and water, hot water, and I just let it soak overnight, and the next day they're absolutely clean. And I've got about 10 of these, that's what I use. Okay, so I think we've covered everything in terms of the design and features. Now, some of you might say that all these bands and you kind of make this pen a little bit over the top. It's a question of taste. I think it's gorgeous. I really do. But most of all, and hopefully that nib, but these nibs can be replaced with almost anything. So if I don't like that nib, I can replace it because the pen is gorgeous and it's very, very comfortable. But we will see that in the writing sample. So that's it for the design and features. Now, let me make a couple of comparisons here. I'm going to take out my tray of pens, and we will do a couple of let me just, here we go. The first thing I'd like to show, we're going to put these aside for the time being. I kind of try to take out all the transparent Chinese pens. I wanted to show you the repertoire that MAJOHN has of demonstrator pens. This is the C1, I believe. I believe that this is, and now I'm going to get mixed up. I think this is the C. I think this is the C2. This is the C3. And now I'm mixing up. No, this is the C. 1 second. Let me make sure I get that right. Okay, I just looked that up. I think I've got it now. And I have one to show you just in a second. So this is the C1. This is the C2. Okay. Then they have a C3. The C3 is this one. I will show it to you on the screen. You see, that's the C3, which I don't have, okay? Then we have the C4 is this one here, and the C5 is the subject pen. Now I do have another one, which I'm not sure what this one was. This was Moon Man, so I'm not sure if this is categorized as what, but I have an additional one, so I'm going to add that there. And then of course we have the V1, which some people hated and which I loved. And there you see the small clip is there. The small clip is also on the C4. I'm not sure if it is on any other pen, but those are kind of the lineup that I have anyway in terms of transparent acrylic demo pens. And they're all fabulous. None of them dry up on you. Very, very nice. So, but you could see the C4 is a really big pen, and you could see that the C5 just is essentially the same size. So again, very nice. So I wanted to show you that. Now in terms of another, the real comparison is here. So let me just put those aside so they don't distract you. And get my my glass pointer. Here we go. Okay, so this is the Natami space pen, if you will. This is the Jinao 9019. You've got the Asvine here, and the Asvine here. What is it? This is the V200, and this is the Asvine. That's the beauty of Asvine, P36. Okay. Then you got the Tramol, which I reviewed as well, and I've thrown in the Lamy Safari just to give you an idea of how big it is. But as you can see, the 9019 is a fairly big pen, and you know what? My subject pen here, the C5, rivals with it. It rivals with the V200. So it gives you an idea that indeed it is not by far a small pen. Quite the contrary. Let's take a look at the pens uncapped. So here are the pens uncapped. And as you can see, the uncapped C5 is just slightly longer even than my V200. So I think the only, even longer than the Natami here, and longer than the 9019. So it is, I mean, it beats all these. It is indeed the biggest pen here. Now, if I throw in this big C4, let me just see where it situates itself. There you go. You can see much bigger than the C4. Girth probably equivalent, different shape, of course, but length. So whatever it doesn't have in the cap, it makes it up in the barrel, if you will. That's why I say in my opening video that it has a long barrel and a short cap. So unique design. I don't believe that they've copied any design, but I may be wrong. There may be some pen done by somebody that MAJOHN tried to imitate. They do have the habit of doing that, so it would not surprise me. But so far, if you guys know whether or not this pen looks like any other pen, let me know, and we'll kind of spread the news, so to speak. So there you have the pens uncapped and unposted. Here are the pens posted. Now, we should disqualify right away the Natami because it doesn't post very well. Neither does the Tramol, and as we know, the Asvine's got a problem with its posting because it does make that piston rotate. The others are here they are. They're not great posters. I think the only good posters from the slot is the 9019, which you know, kind of posts deeply, if you will, and the Safari. Otherwise, even the subject pen, it makes it for a really long pen, but it's postable, and you can tell from the size there that it kind of gets a little bit exaggerated. It is better that cap is shorter, so with its shorter cap, it doesn't become ridiculously long like my C4, for example, or even the V200 for those of you who dare post that pen. So there you have the pens compared, posted, unposted, and just capped. We'll do some measurements and then we'll fill up that pen and get to the writing sample. Okay, so we're back for the writing sample. First thing, the ink. We're going to use the MAJOHN ink. Again, there's a name for it, and I forget the name in Chinese, or what it stands for. But essentially, there's a dark blue and a light blue. So I've chosen this light blue, and here is the swatch right here, MAJOHN light blue. The MAJOHN blue black is a darker version with a lot more red sheen, but we're going to go for the lighter one. Again, these are the colors that suit my fancy. Give me fountain pen therapy these days. I don't know why, but anything that remotely looks like a light blue, I jump on. By the way, again, I repeat, this MAJOHN inks or the MAJOHN inks are #1, especially at the price. Great bottles, good size. I recommend them. So that's the MAJOHN. Now, I'm going to try. I don't do this because of my shaky hands. So if I cause a mess, we'll interrupt and we'll come back. I wanted to show you how this pen performs. I haven't done it. I'm doing it live. So let's try to see how this thing works out. Oh, let me just remove that. Yeah, beautiful ink. Now, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but let me just close up a little bit more. Okay, maybe that will do the trick. We'll remove the cap, just put that center, and we will dip the pen just so that you could see the mechanism work. Yeah, you keep pumping until you filled it all up. Wow, that is really nice. For a minute there, I thought that maybe you would have a problem because but no, you just keep pumping it until the barrel is completely full. And now again, that's a disadvantage. You will get some ink in that section. You got to clean it out, but it takes a few seconds. It shouldn't be a problem, but a nice fill. I got some bubbles in there, but still, it's a nice fill, much more than what I expected. So we'll close that up, shut this bottle before I make a complete mess. Give me a second. We'll set up the journal and we'll be right back. Okay, so we're back for the writing sample. Tomoe River notepad that I often use. Tomoe River, the original. Okay, so I got a feeling there's a little bit of blue ink there, so it would take, I think, a little bit, you need to be more careful there to make sure you don't ink your fingers. But having said that, wow, that is really nice. MAJOHN C5 demo. Folks, this nib is just perfect. MAJOHN C5 demonstrator. The nib is a #6 steel Moonman or MAJOHN medium nib. And folks, it writes like a medium nib should write. We spend money on Yobo and Bach. There is nothing that this nib doesn't have that the others have. So, you may get a dud once in a while, but you get duds in Bach and Yobo. So there you have it. The ink is the MAJOHN, and again, I apologize, there should be a name to this, but MAJOHN light blue. Forgive me for that. Light blue. Now, is it wet? You bet. Very wet. Is it smooth? Extremely smooth. Now, some terminology. A viewer pointed out that I keep saying that it's constant. And some people don't understand what I mean by that. And the viewer also pointed out that maybe I should use the word consistent. What I mean by constant is that the writing is constant. There is no hard start, no skipping. Consistent, well, it depends. It can be consistently bad or consistently good. So that's why I prefer the word constant. But maybe the right word would be to simply say there's no hard start and no skipping. The flow is constant flow, or consistently good flow. Okay, but it's not even the flow; it's the way it writes. Okay, and so very constant, very consistent line, no skipping, no hard starts so far. Does it have reverse writing? Yeah. Probably an extra fine there. Can be done for those of you who insist. Okay. Anything else that I should look at? No, I think we can now look at likes and dislikes. I like the design. I like the build quality. I like the nib. And I like that filling system. Very nice. I think it's probably better than a vacuum, because a vacuum doesn't always guarantee you a full fill. I guess a disadvantage of this one, and I'm not sure it has a shut-off valve like vacuum fillers do, where you can shut off the valve right here, especially when you're traveling. And so this one reacts more like, I guess, a piston filler. But I like that pump system. Now, is it fragile? Will it last? I sure hope so. But so far, so good. Very, very nice. I guess the price is about $65 Canadian. So, I think it's a good value. The days of $20 pens, I think, are gone. The only $20 pens, or what I mean, are Jinhao, and they're not coming out with anything unique these days. Dislikes, I guess, is just that thread on the section. It's a pain where ink continues to linger. I think the only way to really get all of the ink out is probably to use a humid towel as opposed to just a dry towel to make sure you clean it up properly. But that's the exchange, the trade-off is that allows the screw or the threading to secure a very tight and airtight chamber there. Now, they could have done it, further up, I guess, but they've chosen to do it this way. It is what it is, but that maybe is the only dislike. The posting is big and clumsy, so I would say is a bit too long, but doable. Okay, that's it. I think it's. Is it a go-to pen? Again, what I mean by go-to is this an EDC pen? Is this a pen that I could use every day? Yeah, absolutely. I give it a 10 on 10. It's an everyday writer, very comfortable. The nib performs, never dries up on you, so it's given me 10 on 10 for fountain pen therapy. There you go, folks. Another Chinese pen in the mix. I like it. I really like it. I got to tell you, the this little gem. It looks nice. It performs well. I like that unique pumping system. It's going to last, I'm not sure. The price, $65, and I think if you get a polished nib, it probably goes in the 70s, Canadian anyway. I'm not sure it's worth that extra dollar or extra $10, $15. That's where they get you, I guess. But this MAJOHN nib just works perfectly for me. Would I prefer with 1.1? Yeah. But I'm not sure they offered it. And if they did, maybe it was out of stock. But I have 1.1s that I bought separately, so I can always replace. I like the fact that it has a gold nib. Usually it's silver, so it matches the rest of the trimming. So there you have it. Very nice pen. I have no choice but to recommend it. But again, I get, my views on, I'm going to skip on this. I'm trying to, folks, don't. It's not because I recommend something that it means you have to go out and buy it. The reason why I do this is not to sell you the pen. It's to review the pen and give you my point of view in case you're interested or willing or able to buy. But it's not an attempt by me to convince you to buy the MAJOHN C5. I have no relationship with either the vendors or the pen company or the pen brand. You can buy it, not buy it. That is totally up to you. And I will not be critical in any way. If you ask for my opinion, I'm thinking about buying this pen. Do you recommend it? Then you can take a look at this review. And the answer to that is yes, if you like the shape, because it can be subjective. If you like the shape, it's a good shape. It's a good size pen, and it writes well. It gives me fountain pen therapy. There you have it. So for those of you who have not seen anything in the new year, Happy New Year, because we're still in January. And enjoy your pens. Please subscribe. If you like this video, thumbs up. If you don't, thumbs down, but let me know why. And you know what? Stay tuned for my next videos. I've got so many that I've already made, but I'm not publishing just because little beauties like this come up and kind of interrupt the series there. And I know you guys are really interested in some of these lower cost Chinese pens, so I always try to make it a priority to be one of the first to review them so that you could decide whether or not you're going to take the dive or not. And the other pens can wait. They're very expensive pens, some of them. I've got 2 Grail pens. I've got 3 Italian pens. I've got a Monte Grappa pen to show you. I've got some ink reviews to show you. I've got some paper reviews to show you. I've got about 10 videos lined up, ready to go. But MAJOHN C5, Asvine C2000, they kind of interrupt the flow. But that's okay. That's okay. We got plenty of time. Nobody's rushing. Maybe I'll publish 3 videos a week instead of 2. And I've got my recap that I want to get back into on a regular basis. So having said that, have a great week and stay tuned. Ciao.